Today we're going to talk about chunky soil mixes and why they're so important for your plants to thrive, especially with Monstera. So this is my Thai constellation. It's a rescue, and so some of the leaves are gone, but you see there's this new leaf coming up. And I just repotted this and put it in this chunky soil mix, and you can see all these roots that are starting to form. It is thriving in this mix, and it loves it so much. And I'm going to make a new batch of soil today and show you the importance of each ingredient and why I like to use them. You can mix and match whatever you'd like for your own plants, but this is what I'm going to use. I have this big Monstera cutting that I just got. It has some roots, and I'm going to put it in a small pot of soil with a chunky mix, and I think it's going to thrive in that mix. First, you're going to get a container. I like to use these because they're shallow, it's easy to mix. And the first ingredient I'm going to use is Coco Chips. So this is what it looks like. It started out as this brick, and I put it in this bowl, this exact size, and I poured some warm water in it, and it expanded, and so it filled this whole thing up. So the first ingredient is 2 parts Coco Chips. These Coco Chips are kind of like a sponge. It hugs your roots, it holds some water retention, but they're also really light and airy, so your roots aren't suffocating. So the first ingredient I do is 2 parts Coco Chips. So tropical plants, they really like humidity, but they do not like sitting in wet, soggy soil. So this helps with that so much. So 2 parts Coco Chips, and I'm gonna use this soil scoop. It's 2 parts, so if you do a smaller one or a bigger one, it's 2 scoops of that. So, I mean, close enough is good enough. I'm gonna make a mess here on this table, but okay. So 1, so yeah, you can see this brick is really good. It can last for a lot of batches. I'll probably make more later. I'm just showing you this. So 2 parts. I'm gonna throw this in there. So the second ingredient, Orchid Bark. This, I don't have a specific brand that I use, but I got this one on Amazon. I'm gonna try it out. And these Monstera aroid plants, they grow on trees. And so this is actual bark. This is what these aroid plants are used to growing on. I'm gonna do 1.5 parts of this orchid bark. It gives it a nice chunky texture, great drainage, so it has a lot of structure and helps with the airflow for this mix. So I'm gonna do 1.5 parts. There's probably a better way to do this, but I'm gonna go with this. 1.5. Good enough. This third ingredient is Perlite. It's really light and fluffy. This helps your mix not compact, and it helps with the drainage as well. It also keeps everything light and airy, which is exactly what you want. So we're gonna do 1.5 parts of Perlite. There we go. Okay, the fourth ingredient is pumice. So this is the max pumice, it's bigger. And I would say it's kind of like Perlite's bigger sister. And so it's a little more heavy, kind of like rocks. It's heavier, it won't float to the top over time. It adds structure, adds airflow. It also has a little natural mineral boost, which is great for the roots. So we're gonna do 1.5, do this. We're gonna do 1.5 parts pumice. Sometimes it can get a little dusty, so some people do rinse it off, but I think it's fine. Okay, the fifth ingredient is Horticultural Charcoal. This not only adds to the structure, but it helps absorb those toxins and impurities in your soil. It helps prevent that sour smell or any bacteria buildup. So I love using this. It absorbs odors, it absorbs toxins, and it's really good. I like to add this to all my mixes. I do 1 part Horticultural Charcoal. There we go. And last but not least, worm castings. These are from my own worm farm, and I sifted them out. The worms eat the veggie scraps, and they turn this into worm castings or vermicompost. So it's a form of compost. It's a little different because it's literally worm poop, but it smells like soil. And so this is going to be your natural fertilizer boost. It's really gentle, it adds beneficial microbes which all work to help break down organic matter in your soil, and it doesn't ever burn your plants. So I like to add this into my soil mix, and then I usually add a little top dressing about once every month or two for my plants. It's really good for your garden, and you'll see such a big difference in your plant growth if you're putting worm castings. So I do half part worm casting just for the soil mix, and like I said, I top dress it. So here's what it looks like, and I'm going to zoom in on this mix while we mix it up. So just to review, we got 2 parts Coco Chips, 1.5 parts Perlite, 1.5 parts Orchid Bark, 1.5 parts Pumice, 1 part Horticultural Charcoal, and half part worm castings. Now we're just gonna mix, I'm gonna come zoom in and we're gonna mix it all together. So here's what it all looks like if you wanna get a little closer look. Again, Coco Chips, Orchid Bark, Pumice, Perlite, the white stuff, Horticultural Charcoal, and worm castings. Oh, made a mess. We're gonna mix this all together. See how it's nice and chunky. There's no traditional potting mix like from a store. That's why it's called soilless. It's like soil, but it's soilless because it's not the traditional potting mix. It's all things that are not the traditional soil. That looks really good. Light and fluffy. It's exactly what you're wanting. Again, this is my Monstera tie, and this is this exact mix that I used. And those Coco Chips, Orchid Bark, and these roots are just thriving. So this plant does suffer from, it is more prone to root rot. So a mix like this will give it the moisture attention it needs, but also let it drain out super fast so it's not sitting in wet soil. All right, so I just rinsed this clear nursery pot out. I like using clear pots with good drainage, nursery pots, because you can put them inside a cover pot when you're done. Let it drain out the bottom, put it in a cover pot, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. So here's another good reason to use clear nursery pots. You can see the roots, you can see how wet or dry the soil is, and it just helps a lot with monitoring it. So if this was having root rot, or you could tell how wet or dry it is, you could easily see it. So I'm gonna, also with choosing the size nursery pot, you want to pick something that's a little bit bigger than the root ball. And so, for example, see how the roots of this is going to fit right in here and fill out nicely. Better use this size pot, then go ahead and put it in a bigger one when it's not ready. Because if it's too big, that's how your plant can also get root rot. You want your plant to fill out this pot before repotting it. And then when you go up a pot size, you only want to go up one size, 1 or 2 inches tops. You don't want to put a tiny root ball inside a huge pot, so because the roots are going to rot that way. So let's get into this and fill out about a little less than half. That's what I do. And then I'm going to put this in here like this. Let's go and turn it this way. So this, and then I'm probably going to end up putting like a moss pole or a trellis in here to help support this, because look, there's a new leaf that's going to come up, and as it climbs, it wants to climb something like a moss pole or a trellis. So then you just backfill this and kind of lightly tuck it in like that so it can help hold it. Like that. There you have it. You can see the root right there. I'll try to help this shimmy this on in and settle all around those roots. All right, so we're gonna move this aside. And I have this. I'll put this in here and water it. Water it in. And when you have a water propagation, you want to make sure and keep it evenly moist for the first couple of weeks, because it's getting used to going from water back into soil. All right, so I got some fertilizer in this water. Now this is draining. This is exactly what you want. You want it to drain out the bottom just like this. So we're gonna let this kind of soak up for a second while I clean these leaves. So I like to use this pest spray. It's great to double for pest prevention, but also shining up the leaves to help your plant photosynthesize a lot better. Clean the front and backs of your leaves. Also, after I water, I like to spray this on the topsoil, like that, because it helps fungus gnats, adult ones, not come lay their eggs right there. And you have to, it takes like 3 or 4 weeks or maybe 5 weeks to break that life cycle. So I like to do that after I water to make sure and prevent those fungus gnats. So then I get some microfiber gloves, or you can use like a rag, microfiber cloth. I usually like to let this sit for 10 minutes, but for this video's sake, I'm just gonna go and clean it. But 10 minutes to help kill bugs, especially if you have them. So I'm gonna clean it just like this. It's gonna help it photosynthesize a lot better. Makes it look nice and shiny. All right, I think that looks good. For now, before I get like a moss pole or something, I might, kind of like with this one, got this little plant stake, so I'm gonna go grab one of those to put on this for now until I find what trellis I wanna use. All right, here we go. I got one of these stakes. I'm gonna slip it in here to the bottom, and then I'm gonna just kind of hold it up like that. So that's good for now until more leaves start growing, and then I'll probably use something like a trellis or a moss pole. So, okay, so this is what I was talking about with getting a cute cover pot. This cover pot has no holes in it, so there's no drainage. So that's the whole point of keeping it in a nursery pot like this. You let it drain out the bottom all the way. Sometimes I turn it to the side like this. So you get your cute cover pot, and then you put this inside just like this. See, look, it hides the nursery pot. And so when I water it, I can take this nursery pot out, water it, let it drain all the way out, put it back in the cute cover pot. So hopefully this helps and showed you a nice, good, chunky soil mix, gave you a few plant tips on how to repot or put a water propagation into a pot. A few tips and tricks that I do. And this mix would work for any aroids like pothos, anthuriums, any kind of monstera. This is really good for any of those plants and would do really well. If you want to add a little more moisture retention, you can add some coco coir or potting mix, and that helps with holding a little more moisture if that's what you're wanting. But for these monstera, or especially these variegated ones, with variegated means like the color on it, they are very prone to root rot, so you want that chunky mix. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you want more plant tips, or I talk a lot about my worm farm and how I get these worm castings to help. Like I said, I'm going to top dress this with my worm castings about once a month, and that helps with that natural nutrient boost.